Welcome back to Strictly Money. The holiday season is upon us, and in normal times, it's a challenging time of the year, especially because there's so much pressure to partake in the festivities like decorating, buying gifts, even hosting elaborate dinners. But this year, it's particularly tough with everything being so much more expensive. So, how can you have a financially stress free holiday? George Blount is a financial therapist and has some great insights and advice, and he joins me now. Hi, George. Great to have you on.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, inflation. We've talked about it so much this year. It's a big stress for people. I personally think the biggest stress, though, is that there's a lot of expectation and peer pressure during the holiday season.
Yeah. So let's start there. I think when we look at spending overall, what's that spending based on? And I would say for the holidays, it's based on the pursuit of happiness, right? Let's make sure that we are making people happy. Let's give people gifts that will assume that they will be happy in the future. And so that is the expectation that we're setting. However, when we don't know what makes us happy or what makes the other person happy, it makes that entire process difficult. And so it makes the pursuit of happiness an uncertain journey. And so when it comes to gift giving in that type of uncertain journey, you have an uncertainty premium. You pay more for the assumption that something will make you happy or make this gift a happy experience. But in reality, it's uncertainty. And so you're paying for hope more than anything else. And that's the uncertainty premium that we see around the holidays.
That's really interesting. So, uncertainty premium. Um, this is about overcompensating, though, isn't it? And if that's the case, is it important to just get really clear with not only your values but maybe someone else's if you're buying things for them?
Correct. I think one of the things that we have to look at is that there has to be some shared value, right? Some shared happiness, something that we can at least agree together that this is a memory or something that we both have in common. And so, what you can do with your gifts is instead of looking to the future, you can look to the past, right? Let's find a memory that we know is a happy memory for you or a happy memory for the person that you're giving the gift, and then crystallize it. So, for example, instead of buying a picture frame, that's a digital picture frame with a gigabyte of storage to give you endless number of pictures. How about you just print off one good photo of somebody that you care about, frame it, and give that as a gift? So it does the exact same thing, except for instead of the uncertainty premium of looking for happiness in the future, we find our happiness in the past and we spend based on that.
I think that's so important, George, because I know one of the messages I try to convey to people is I said, yeah, look at your past. What are your happiest memories? And usually it's not about material things. It's about experiences and memories. So, like a lot of kids, a lot of parents expect gifts and people feel guilty, right? So
Yeah.
how does someone manage that? How do they set expectations and that actually lead to better outcomes?
Correct. So around the holidays, it's very important to have a expectation level setting, whether it's a conversation or just an understanding amongst your family. So, for example, there are people in your family, in your community, where their expectation for the holidays is extremely high. Let's think of kids, for example. They don't have to worry about anything else. And so the holidays are a time of gift giving and fun and happiness. So the expectation for giving to them should be endless. However, there are certain ages where you can talk to individuals about what's going on in the environment and in the economy, and you can say, hey, this isn't a good time to give a gift, or I'd much rather give this type of gift instead. And so every single family should set some type of expectation age, whether that is to make sure that your kids are having a good Christmas or good holiday season, or to ensure that you're able to have better conversations with those that are older. But setting that expectation age is a great way to manage what could be a very stressful holiday season, trying to keep up with expectations of multiple people.
George, we have about 40 seconds for the break. In your work, because you do coach a lot of people, do you find that they are understanding? Because I think some people will think, well, my parents or the kids won't understand.
Yeah, I find that they're not. I mean, it's a good question. I also teach a lot of students as well. And so it's just human nature. We hope, but I think a lot of the things that we keep in our head, we never really verbalize. So the majority of times, people are only giving us 10% of what's in their head. So that exists for everybody. We're never going to know for sure, but it really helps if we could at least verbalize ourselves what we're looking for, what makes us happy.
Okay, well, lots more to cover. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. George, we were talking a little bit about overcompensating in the previous block, which tends to lead to overspending, right? So let's talk about budgeting because that comes up a lot. How do you feel about doing one? And is there a right way or a wrong way in doing it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So when I think about budgets, I just like to say it's a very complicated process. It's easy to say that
Mhm.
people should have a budget. And so I will tell you one of the more difficult parts of sticking to a budget. Budgets are great because they identify our fixed costs, the things that we know for certain that we're going to spend money on every single month and allows us to stay in that range. However, what we don't do as individuals well is we don't account for our variable costs, right? The money that we spend that's based on some activity, probably based on our lifestyle. And that's where we start to see our money go. And so, what makes it difficult to stick to a budget is that you can always account for your fixed expenses. But unless you have a really good sense of your lifestyle, you're not going to be able to account for your variable costs. And that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. I think that's why you may see people that start a budget and then at the end of the month, they say, well, where did all the money go? And that money probably went more so towards their variable expenses, not towards their fixed expenses, what the budget is based on. So I see that as a big problem with budgeting overall. If you can
Okay.
do it, it's great, but it's a difficult process overall.
Is there a way around it then?
Yeah, I think one way around it is to just be more aware of your lifestyle and just know you have to give yourself this buffer that when I go out and when I have fun, I'm probably going to spend a little bit extra money. And you just have to account for that. Budgets have to really just address your real life situations. And so bills are real life situations, and we use that well with the fixed expenses. We don't address our real life spending in our lifestyle. And that's where we really just have to be more aware. And that will make it easier for people to stick to a budget.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, willpower is finite. And when you're out, and we're emotional human beings far more than we are rational, right? And that ties into our spending patterns. So, what do you tell people? What do you advise people right now when they are shopping online or going to the malls and they're getting swept away with with the Christmas music and the ambiance?
Yeah, I'd say, it's really important to just be aware of all the alternatives that you have available to you right now to search for gifts, to search for real interesting things to give to people. And sometimes we have this behavior where it allows us to go into a store and say, this is where I want to spend my money, and I'm just going to get whatever's in here. However, even if you go into a store and look at something on your phone, it's very quick to just check that item or check the prices and see if you can get it for a little bit cheaper. And so I think young people really have an advantage over older generations in that they shop around. They can look for multiple different platforms for different items to make sure that they're getting the best deal. And they do it in a very quick time period. However, older generations still like to go into the stores and touch and feel things. And so we have to be aware that most of the time our spending, especially if it's overspending or spending on charge cards in retail shops or credit card spending, right, which is more emotional. And at the moment, if we were to just sit back and say, are there other alternatives? Can I get the same exact thing for a cheaper price? Can I get the same exact thing and have it delivered within 24 to 48 hours? So that way I'm not able to satisfy my need right now. If you could answer those questions, in some ways, it will make it a lot easier to control your spending. If you're completely unaware of that, it's going to be much harder to control your spending.
We only have 30 seconds left. I thought what was very interesting, George, is you said the younger people are more savvier. You
Correct.
see that and able to control their spending, or they're more just savvier with how they spend their money?
Yeah, I think just with technology and being aware that there's more options out there. I think when it comes to young people and their savviness, it is because they're used to technology and they are aware that the world is much bigger than where their feet are. And so they're able to look for those good deals wherever it may exist around the world.
Oh, very good insights today. Thanks so much, George, and happy holidays.
Same to you, Saja. Thank you so much.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Strictly Money. I hope all of you have a stress free and debt free Christmas. Do that budget, watch those variables, set expectations, and savor the memories. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay well, stay wise, and stay wealthy.